Hey guys, your captain is back. Don't ask any questions about why I am a Sprigatito. If you want to know about how I turned into a Sprigatito, then go see the SpongeBob video.
You always pick the worst timing for weird things to happen to you.
A few months ago, I ranked all the boards in the original Mario Party game, and it was a lot of fun to make, despite this game's flaws. So this time, we're continuing with Mario Party's first sequel, Mario Party 2. This game improved a lot of the formula from the original Mario Party. Not only did the developers add items to this game to try and solve the issue of the boards being luck-based, but they also went all out with the theming of this game, giving it a theme park atmosphere. They created new gimmicks as well, the most notable one being the Koopa Bank, that takes 5 coins from you if you pass it, and if you land in its space, you get all the coins that the players spent on it so far. And they created new minigames as well, with some of them becoming fan favorites among the Mario Party fanbase. But did the boards improve on the original Mario Party? Let's find out.
Wow, this is garbage. You actually like this?
This is easily the worst board in Mario Party 2, and the only D tier board as well. In fact, it's so broken and luck based that it honestly looks like a Mario Party 1 board. And if you watched my Mario Party 1 video, you probably know that this is not a good thing. Mystery N is the 4th board in the game, so it's supposed to have a medium level difficulty. But first, it's an iron hopping board. Yes, if you don't know for now, every time a board has an iron hopping gimmick, its premise is pretty much dead on arrival. This was the case with Wario's Battle Canyon, which was my least favorite board in the original Mario Party. And Mystery N, while being a teensy bit better, hence why it's in D tier and not in F tier, isn't good at all either. This time, the main way to go from one island to another is to land on a happening space. The premise is even worse than in Wario's Battle Canyon, because whether you will even be able to go from one island to another just boils down to luck. You can end up having to loop an entire island 5 times to finally be able to get to the next one. Fortunately, there is one skeleton key door that connects 2 islands and allows you to get to the ones with Bob-omb, and there are relics on said Bob-omb islands that can teleport you to the other Bob-omb island, but this is just not enough. If you have to get from the southeast island to the southwest island, or from the southwest island to the northeast island, get ready to be forced to loop the islands countless times until you finally land on happening space. Despite items being a thing now, this board is designed in such a stupid way that you barely can manipulate anything with them. The fact that this board doesn't even have any split paths doesn't help at all. To rub salt into the wound, even the relics on the Bob-omb Islands have a luck-based mechanic. When you use them, they have a small chance on sending you to an island with only red spaces and happening spaces, and if you aren't lucky, well, time to loop this island 40 times until you land on a happening space, while slowly losing all your coins in the process. Oh, and it's not over. Even the 4 main islands are poorly designed. There's only one item shop, which is clearly not enough when you take into account the fact that with a bit of bad luck, you can spend way too much time here looping the same islands over and over again. Putting Boo on the same island as a Koopa Bank isn't the smartest decision the developers made either, not mentioning that there is already another Koopa Bank on another island. So even though Mario Party 2's item system adds a bit more strategy to the board gimmick, Mystery End ruins it with its iron hopping gimmick.
At least, Rookie can say that this board is educational. Knowing him, I wouldn't be surprised if he believes that video saying that the Bob-ombs build the pyramids.
You know what, Gengar? You're right. Let's talk about the positives of this board that prevent it from being an F tier. Well, it's simple. At least this board tries to have some gimmicks that are interesting strategy-wise, like 2 doors that allow you to go from the southwest island or northeast island to the northwest island or southeast island if you have a skeleton key to open it, which you can buy in an item shop, like any other item, especially since the item shop is on the same island as one of the 2 doors. The Bob-omb relics are also a good idea, even though they're ruined by that small island on the east. And finally, while the gameplay of this board sucks, it probably has my favorite theming out of any board in the game. I love how the whole board is based off of real-life mysteries and conspiracy theories, like the aliens supposedly building the pyramids, the question of how humans could build a Stonehenge and transport the Moai, the monster of the Loch Ness, and this reflects in the visual design of the board, which is probably the best one in the game in these regards. Sadly, in the Mario Party board, the most important thing is still the gameplay, not the theming. And since this board is so broken, lock-based, and frustrating to play, it can go higher than the D tier. But there's no need to worry now, because from the D tier, we're already jumping all the way straight up to the B tier. Yep, Mystery End was the only flat-out bad board in the game. When you compare it to Mario Party 1, which only had 3 boards that I consider good out of 8, this really shows the jump of quality that the franchise made with this game.
Alright, Pinhead, your time is up!
So just a heads up, the next 2 boards are pretty interchangeable, and I can see myself flip-flopping between them regularly. But ultimately, since Western Land is still simpler than the board I put at number 4, it will stay in 5th place. Western Land is the second board in the game, and it's a simpler, star hunting board with a specific gimmick that steals the show. That gimmick is Steamer the Train.
Just saying that he was a Thomas the Tank Engine kid in his childhood, so he's gonna be biased about him.
If you land on his happening space, Steamer will go to the next train station on his path, and he always starts the game on the southern one, near the starting area. At this moment, anyone who is on Steamer's path when he makes his way to the next train station will be sent back to the start. This can be a bit too punishing sometimes, but I still appreciate the effort of making the second board a bit harder than the first one without becoming a complete crap rock fest like Peach's birthday cake. Plus, it allows for some strategy and it forces you to plan your route thoroughly, and it's still fair because there are a lot of split paths where you can leave the rails for a short time in case you want to avoid the steamer. For example, there are split paths in the northeast area of the board. The rail area might put you in danger of being hit by the steamer, but it's shorter, and it has a boo that you can pay to steal coins from other players, or even a star if you have enough coins. Plus, the area that's safe from Steamer is longer and has 2 Bowser spaces, so you may want to put this into perspective as well. Plus, I also really like the Milk Ranch gimmick. When you pass it, you can pay a couple of coins to invite the other players to party in the ranch. If you do so, they will all be sent just near it. It's cool because it has a lot of room for strategy. Is it worth it paying your coins to prevent other players from getting the star before you? Sadly, this board won't be higher because of a small issue. Because the square layout of the rails, there will always be moments where you just walk on a rail straight away for a long time, which kind of kills the strategy whenever this happens and you don't have an item. Plus, the layout is simply a bit too basic for the boards to go any higher. Despite this, Western Land is still a fun board, where I kind of enjoy myself and I will be happy to replay it from time to time.
Hey everybody, check out the all-new
Bowser!
Next, we have Bowser Land, the final board in the game, and the only unlockable one as well. Unlike Eternal Star in Mario Party 1 and its insane 100 star requirement you have to fulfill to unlock it, Bowser Land is simply unlocked when you completed all the 5 previous boards at least once, which is a much more reasonable requirement. And I must say, it's already a much better final impression of Mario Party 2 than Eternal Star was for Mario Party 1. This board is actually a bit more strategy based, with a gimmick that doesn't make the entire game boil down to luck, but it's still a bit brutal in its own ways. This board is a giant amusement park themed around Bowser that has a square layout with some split paths, but Nintendo added gimmicks that are really brutal, but still feel fair to make this board feel like a final gauntlet. For example, there is the parade. Every 5 turns, a chance that a parade of Bowser-themed vehicles goes through part of the board, but if you go near the doors that are scattered around it, you can pay some coins to change the direction that this parade will take. This parade gimmick is particularly punishing as it can actually make you lose a lot of coins, but the amount of control the players have about it makes it feel fair because you can actually change its route to screw over other players. Then, the banks function differently. If you pass them, Baby Bowser loans out 5 coins to you, and whoever lands on it must pay the entire loan, which is basically the opposite of how the Koopa banks work on other boards. And being broke won't save you. If you don't have enough coins to pay the loan, Baby Bowser will steal a star from you. Yes, you can actually lose a star with this board's gimmicks. This is very punishing, but since it doesn't happen that often, it still feels fair, because it also pressures you to get more coins in the minigames to be able to pay that loan if you land on a bank space. And one of the item shops function differently too. If you pass it without having an item, you're forced to buy one from that shop, which also makes you lose coins. This is also a good way to implement a bit of strategy on the board. This item shop is located just before a star spot, so this really gets you ponder when you should use an item. Do you want to use it to take advantage of this board's other gimmicks, or to keep it so you're safe from this cursed item shop? Finally, this board also has a different host than Toad, Baby Bowser. That doesn't change the gameplay, but it would be a bummer not to mention it, because Baby Bowser is such a charming host. He paints something like another Baby Bowser stealing your coins in a good light, which fits the Super Mario villains so well, and makes the board a bit more unique as well. Sadly, despite all those cool gimmicks, this board is still too simple to be a final board. Some of these events don't occur that often, and when this happens, the board loses its uniqueness and just becomes another Mario Party board, which is not a good sign when this is the final board in a game. So despite all the fun gimmicks it has, Bowser Land will stay in B tier.
Are you ready, kids?
No! Now we have Pirate Land, the first board in the game. You may be surprised by this, because many people seem to consider it one of the weakest boards in the game, but honestly, despite being pretty basic, it's got all the ingredients to make a good board. It's a board that is divided between several islands, and this allows for different split paths. 2 of them are blocked off by swamps, and the way you pay them is honestly really clever. You have to pay them coins to pass. The fee starts at 1 coin, and every time someone passes the swamp, it will increase by another coin, which is honestly a clever way to make those split paths more strategic.
Or a clever metaphor about inflation.
You can choose to make a run for it by paying coins, or to play it safe by going on the longer path, which will probably cost you at least 2 turns. On long playthroughs, these forms add a good layer of strategy, and depending on the item you have, they can completely change what the best option is. Then, you have 3 spaces that are near a small dock. If you land on them, a shark will greet you and invite you over to another one of these docks for 5 coins, which can work like a double-edged sword, depending on where the star is. Finally, there are some paths that are blocked off by doors. To pass them, you have to buy skeleton keys that will open them, and since these paths can be great shortcuts as well, you really have to consider that too, especially that one path that lets you skip the major part of the board and allow you to get to the blue really quickly. So yeah, this board found the right balance between staying basic and having split paths, since most of them are either blocked off by skeleton keyholes or forms you must pay, which makes them even more strategic, because I remind you that you also have to save 20 coins for the star. The reason Pirate Land can't be in A tier though is the happening space gimmick of this board. All those happening spaces are scattered across bridge section, and if someone lands on them, a pirate boat shoots cannonballs on the bridges, which sends anyone who was on this bridge back to the start. That gimmick is a bit too punishing, because not only can it mean a lot of progress going to waste, but this is the first board in the game, which means it should be a little more easygoing, and something that can outright cancel the progress you made towards a star is such a harsh way that just doesn't belong in a beginner board like this. Plus, for the board that is also supposed to introduce Mario Party 2's new gimmicks to the player, it introduces the Koopa Bank in a poor way. There's only one bank, and it's close to the starting area. That means you won't even have time to get a lot of coins before the Koopa Bank makes you lose 5 of them, which can be really frustrating, especially when the first star is just near the Koopa Bank, which can happen, and it will likely mean that all the players will have to loop the entire board to get that star, and since it's pretty big, this Koopa Bank is just frustrating. But otherwise, the board is big enough so you don't loop the same area over and over again, but not so big that the progression towards the star becomes frustrating or that you get lost. There are enough split paths, and with the fact that most of them cost coins, it adds a new layer of strategy to this board. So yeah, Pirate Cans managed to get on the podium in a pretty interesting way, not having any gimmicks that really stand out, positively or negatively, just being a simple board with all the ingredients required to make a board fun, and it benefited from this.
Rigaboom, why are you going?
Finally, I'm changing back.
Oh, took you long enough.
It feels good to be back to normal. Anyway, let's continue with the A tier, reserved for boards that I consider great and that I'd actually want to play regularly.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement.
Space Hand is the first Mario Party board to get an A tier rank, and for a very good reason. This board is the first one that doesn't have any problems that make me less inclined to replay it regularly. It takes place in a giant space station with a square-based layout, just like Bowser Land. Except that the difference with the aforementioned board is that there are so many different split paths and even more different gimmicks. First, there are the speeders. Whenever you land on a happening space, you will be pushed back to another place on the board by those vehicles. You can also bribe a Shy Guy to chase them, so you'll be pushed back even further. This adds so many different layers of strategy to the game, as you can either bribe Shy Guy so that you'll be able to screw over other players and prevent them from getting the star, but you can also use it to get closer to it yourself thanks to the speeders. And that's what makes some of the best Mario Party gimmicks. They look like something that won't bring you anything good at first, but with a bit of strategy, you can easily turn them to your advantage, to screw over other players for example. And the Black Hole Bowser laser forces you to be even more careful about it. Because yes, the interior of the square shape of the board may be safe from the speeders, but the developers had this in mind, so they added another gimmick to the board. Each time someone goes through the central junction of this board, a countdown that starts at 5 will go down by 1. When it goes to 0, Black Hole Bowser fires a laser that targets this entire area of the board. And if you're hit, you lose all of your coins. Yes, all of them.
How you're expecting the viewers to not get critical when you talk about boards like this?
On one hand, losing all your coins might be a bit too punishing, especially for a board that you only play halfway through the game. But on the other hand, this forces you to plan your route well, because sometimes you have to choose if you want to be safe from being sent back further by the speeders, or if you want to be safe from Bowser's laser. And this board has a lot of split paths, one of them being locked by a skeleton key door, so it's not just RNG. You actually have to think to avoid seeing your progress go to waste or losing all your coins. And to top it off, this doesn't affect the gameplay, but Space Land absolutely nailed the atmosphere. The scenery makes the whole board feel bustling, yet lonely at the same time. The color scheme also makes the board really pop out by finding the perfect balance between a space station that looks cartoony and one that actually looks realistic. And the music is just incredible. With the adventurous melody, the progressive build-up to the climax of the song, and the general instrumentation, this song is just so epic. It feels cinematic in a way, with the song gaining more and more instruments as it goes on, and the melody that reminds you of old-ass sci-fi movies. So yeah, Space Land is an amazing board. In a way, it's the first one in the series that really managed to use the full potential of the mere concept of a Mario Party board, with gimmicks that can be punishing but feel fair, and a lot of different strategies that you can pull off due to the new item system. But there's still one board in this game that is even better. In fact, it's so good that it's not A tier, but S tier. So let's talk about it now.
This is amazing! Approved!
Horror Land is the 5th and penultimate board of the game, just before Bowser Land. It takes place in a dark forest with a lot of haunted places. And for me, it's the first ever Mario Party board to be completely flawless. It allows for so many different strategies with one single gimmick that makes all the difference. It's the day and night cycle. Every 2 turns, the board alternates between day and night. Not only does the scenery of this board become really stunning at night with the darker color palette, but this allows for so many different things on the board that drastically change from day to night. For example, during the day, there are some warps on split paths that you can pay to choose a specific route, while during the night, they will be turned into statues, forcing you to take the other path no matter what. Then, the location of each boo changes from day to night. During the day, there is only one boo, but during the night, there are 3 boos. 2 of them are placed on a path midway through the board, one directly after the other, which adds so many new ideas for strategies. You can, for example, use a mushroom, so you can pay the first boo to steal coins to your opponent to prevent them from getting the star, then pay the second boo to steal a star. The last boo is a bit peculiar. Not only is he located on a path that's only accessible with a skeleton key door, you also have to pay him 3 times the price to pay an average boo. But he'll steal coins and stars from all your opponents if you do so, which is such a cool idea as well. It works because despite the possibility of him being a total game changer, you won't see him strike that often, because not only do the players have to pay him 3 times more, but he only comes during the night, which basically means 2 turns out of 4. Then, you also have Mr. I. He's present at 2 tombstones on the board, and if you pass one of them, he offers you to take you to the other tombstone if you pay him with coins. The fee to do so is higher during the day than during the night, and there are also ways to change the day and night cycle other than just waiting 2 turns. First, if you land on a happening space, the time of the day will change. Then, you can drive Booze and Mr. I on a dance floor during the night to change the time to day. During the day, you can do the opposite with Magic Koopa in his mansion. And there are so many different split paths across the whole board, each with something of value. This board just has so many different layers of strategy to it, especially with items. For example, you can use skeleton keys to get to the most powerful boo that I mentioned earlier. You can also use Mushroom to directly steal coins and stars from the 2 little boos that appear during the night if the time is gonna switch to day during the next turn. You can use a Warp Block to bypass a Womp that prevents you from getting the star during the night. It's so good that I'm still purring just thinking about it, even though it has been a while since I changed back. In fact, this whole day and night cycle gimmick is so amazing and opens the door to so many creative ideas to use that the developers made it Mario Party 6's entire gimmick, with all of this game sports having specific gimmicks that completely change from day to night. So yeah, Horrorland is easily the best board in Mario Party 2, and it gets the honor of being the first perfect board in the series. This ranking is now over, but we're not at the end of this video just yet. Before that, I still wanted to give my opinion on Mario Party 2. And well, I think it's the biggest jump of quality I ever saw in any video game franchise so far. The original Mario Party came with a lot of problems, namely an amount of luck minigames that was a bit too big, and overused of luck-based mechanics in some boards, and rotating control stick. Mario Party 2 fixed this issue in a very simple way. It added a new gimmick that became a staple in Mario Party, the item system. You can buy items in item shops, and just with that, the boards are more strategic. You can switch spaces with a player to avoid being stuck in a specific area of the board. You can use a mushroom to further in general, or use a skeleton key to access some areas you couldn't access and, for example, get to boos you can't use some without them. Even though you can only carry one item at a time, which kind of limits the strategy, just the existence of an item system changed everything for Mario Party. Western Land, Bowser Land, or Space Land are boards that I'd probably like way less if they were Mario Party 1, but with the item system, they balance their luck-based mechanics with a bit of skill. And the minigames are also a huge improvement over the first Mario Party game. Most of them come from it, but it's mostly the good ones, like Hexagon Heat, a remake of Mushroom Mix-Up, or Shy Guy Says. Then, most of them got fixed too. Bowlover is the best example of it. In Mario Party 1, getting coins in the team of 3 was impossible. Now, the solo player has to knock down all of his opponents to win, and the team of 3 wins if one of them is still standing after 2 attempts from the solo player. The new minigames are really fun too. Lava Tau Ao is very chaotic and fun minigame with constant action. Cake Factory has a good premise and actually requires good coordination between the 2 teammates to win. Shock Drop and Roll is very hectic and funny too, especially if you're on the team of 3. And yeah, I agree that Mario Party 2's minigame selection has some stinkers too. Move to the Music is fun when you're on the team of 3, but to win this one, the solo player will only rely on the team's lack of skill, not their own skill, which kind of sucks. Bowser's Big Blast, well, it's complete RNG, and it doesn't help that since it's a battle minigame, you'll always be wagering coins when you play this one on the board.
At least we prepared the Nintendo kids for an adult life with gambling.
Or not, since most forms of gambling are banned in Japan. And Honeycomb Havoc is in fact just a log game that is filmingly disguised with a teensy bit of strategy. But despite those rare shortcomings, I still really like the minigame selection on Mario Party 2. The minigames are much more varied and skill-based, and since there are more of them in general, they don't keep getting repeated as much as in Mario Party 1, which I appreciate. It's a game that I actually recommend checking out, with friends if possible, because most of the boards and minigames were really fun. But unlike Mario Party 1, the bigger amount of skill also allows it to be fun when you're playing it alone. The original Mario Party may have invented a formula that this series, as well as most other party games after it, use in their gameplay, but Mario Party 2 really perfected it, with strategy on the board phases as well, and even better and more varied minigames. I highly recommend it if you like party games and multiplayer games in general. Well, this video's over. Since I liked Mario Party 2 way more than Mario Party 1, it was a lot more fun to make, and I'd actually be happy to replay some Mario Party 2 boards alone, or with people I know in the near future, unlike Mario Party 1, that doesn't make me want to come back to it at all. Next on our list is Mario Party 3. Truth be told, I already played this one a couple of months before starting this series, and I absolutely loved it. Yep, this ranking is gonna be lots of fun, despite how underrated Mario Party 3 has been for a while. But for now, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.
And I hope you're actually in your regular form during the next ranking tour.